Hey, how's it going? I hope everybody's doing all right. Another Friday. Definitely glad the week is over. Much needed rest for this weekend. And this morning I'm drinking this energy drink, which I've shown before, but this is the mango flavor that I briefly have talked about. Cascade Ice Orange Mango. Definitely not as good as the lemon flavored or lime flavored, I think it is, whichever the one. This one is not as good, but yeah, it's Friday. Definitely excited for the weekend. Don't necessarily have solid plans, but just the prospect of resting is really what I'm looking forward to be quite honest. And just chilling out, right? But today I wanted to talk about kind of following up on like my last video, talking about gear and instruments and stuff like that. You know, what is garbage gear? So if you haven't seen that, definitely check it out. I wanted to talk about some actual gear that I have. Specifically, one of the more, I think, underrated but definitely important aspects to a guitar and to just kind of starting out, and really a foundation for a lot of players. And it's none other than strings. Strings are something that I feel are many times taken for granted because, I mean, depending on how much you play, how much you change them, not many people think about them, right? It's just something that, you know, you get when you need, and you may have a brand that you like, you may not, but they're pretty underrated. So I wanted to talk about a couple of strings that I personally like to use and tell you why I like to use them. And so yeah, so the first one I want to talk about is really like the foundation for a lot of people. This is like, you know, the string company that like almost everybody has used, and I think probably most people use, and it's the D'Addario, the XL nickel wound guitar strings. Is a 3-pack, and this is just like foundation stuff. This is like, you know, if you start out playing, you more than likely started out playing on some of the D'Addarios, or D'Addario, however you say it. And it's what a lot of people play. I mean, the price, I think this pack was like $17, sounds about right. I don't remember exactly, but it's not the cheapest, far from the cheapest, but it's not the most expensive. It's like a good middle ground, and they're really good. I mean, these sound very crisp right off the bag, and they stay pretty crisp for a while, especially if you like a more brighter sound. These D'Addario strings hold up pretty well, and if you look in the bag, there's like a little like spectrum type of thing, like which shows you the brightness, and these are kind of towards the more bright area, which, yeah, I agree, they are pretty bright, and they stay pretty bright for a while. They don't rust out as fast, so they're pretty good, I would say. Really good. I don't know if they're really good. I have a pair that I think are really good that I'll show you here, or a pack. But yeah, this one for sure is like foundational level strings. You know you're gonna get them wherever you look. Oh, and in terms of like the gauges, 11 to 52, that's usually more or less what I like, around that, on the thicker side. But yeah, so that's the first one. The second one is, I'm gonna talk about another one that's foundation type of thing, and it's this one right here, Ernie Ball. So between D'Addario and Ernie Ball, I think at this point in time they're more like on the even space. They're kind of both more or less equals. But I remember when I was younger, Ernie Ball, at least from where I was from, and like the spaces that I was in, people that I knew, Ernie Ball was the strings to use. These ones are a little bit heavier gauge, 13 to 56. Ernie Ball, look, I'm gonna be honest about Ernie Ball. I don't really like Ernie Ball strings, and I know for a lot of people it's definitely like either you like them or you don't, even though a lot of people do use them. I personally don't like them very much. The reason being is I've had several packs of Ernie Balls where I put them on, everything's good, and like right away they get dull. Right away they get like either rusted or just get dull, you know. And I'm not sure why that is, but I've noticed that with Ernie Ball more than I've noticed it with D'Addario for sure, or any other strings that I've used. There is another one though that is on par, but Ernie Ball, for the price that you're paying, which could be anywhere from like, I would say if they're on sale, like $5.50 or $5.90 to more of a regular price, which would be like $7 to $9. Yeah, they should not be getting that old that fast. So the reason why I got this one is because they were cheap. They were super cheap. They were like $5. I got them on sale. So just to like having strings around just in case you need them, and I saw them they were pretty cheap, so I just got a couple of packs of those. But yeah, if we're talking Ernie Ball and these two together, they're definitely like on par in terms of like popularity, but I would go for this one personally. I know a lot of people like Ernie Ball, and there's obviously like in the bag you have all the artists, a bunch of artists that use Ernie Ball. They sound all right. I mean, nothing to write home about, and for some reason they get dull. But you know what, for some people this is foundational stuff too, and if that's what you like, then that's what you like, right? So yeah, Ernie Ball is the other one that I have. Now another pack, this one is the D'Addario pack, and this is, in my opinion, probably the best strings that I have used personally. I know people have their thoughts about these, but in my opinion, these are the best ones that I've used. And it's this one right here, the D'Addario NYXLs. I am a firm believer on the NYXLs. I would buy them more if they weren't so damn expensive, but for the price that you're paying, which could be anywhere from, if they're on special, I've seen them as low as $10-11 in some spaces, to like the regular price, which is $13 to $15. They're not cheap whatsoever. So if you're tight on a budget, you know what I mean, you don't need to get these. But if you want to experiment and like see what like string technology, you know, has come to, I think the NYXLs are honestly amazing. They're very bright. These are definitely more on the brighter side for sure, brighter than the regular nickel wound that I just showed. But man, they're so good. Like from the moment you put them on, you can feel the string is like different. I don't know how to explain it. I know some people have had the same experiences. I've heard Tosin and Bossy talk about it. Like they just feel different. Like it's hard to explain. Maybe like, I don't know, more out of tougher, or I don't know how to explain. There's more dense, the material. Whatever the case may be, is they for sure feel different, and they for sure sound different to the ear. You know, it's just like brighter. There's a more some crispness to it that is automatically detectable, and they last so long. Like these for sure last the longest in my personal opinion. So I've had a pair on one of my guitars for weeks, and they still sounded, you know, bright. They still, I wouldn't say they sounded brand new, but definitely still sounded bright. They weren't rusted, and they just had that crispness that it's hard to to explain what it is, definitely try NYXLs if you haven't. They are pricey again, so you know, for that reason alone, I don't put them like on the top end, because they're just pricey. They really are. Like, you can get a pair, or not a pair, but a pack, like I mentioned, regular price, let's say $13. With that $13, you can buy several of the next one that I'm gonna show. But yeah, NYXLs, try them out if you haven't. They might change the way that you think about strings, right? Maybe I'm exaggerating, but that's just how I feel about it. But the last pair that I have here, not the last pair, the last pack that I have here is like on the complete end of the spectrum in terms of price when compared to the NYXLs, and it's none other than the Dunlop strings. So the Dunlop strings, and this one's a super heavy pack, 13 to 56. The Dunlop strings, this is like, I'm sorry to say, look, I've bought many Dunlop strings because they're the cheapest. I've seen them as cheap as $4. Usually they don't exceed $6. I haven't really seen that too much, maybe $7, but I have rarely seen that. It's from $4 up until like $5.50, $6 is like where you'll find the price for these. But these are not the best. These are not the best. I've had packs where I put them on and right off the top, they're already dull. Like, they just don't sound good at all. Sometimes they already feel rusted when I put them on. So it's like you're taking a gamble when you buy these, and you don't know what you're gonna get. You know what I mean? Like Forrest Gump said, life's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. Life's like a pack of Dunlop strings. You never know what you're gonna get. And I mean, obviously you pay, you know, get what you pay for, right? So if these are very unreliable, then I'm definitely gonna say buy with caution, because if you buy one pack, you're definitely like taking that gamble that they might not be good. So buy a couple of packs, right? If you have $13, right, and you don't want to get the expensive Diodaros because it's just going to be one pack for $15, you can get the Diodario pack. Let's say they're on special for like $4.50. Get yourself 3 of those, right? And that could work for sure, you know. But they're not the best. They're not the best. I get them in bulk sometimes just to have the strings around, you know. But man, like from here to here is a world apart. This is like being the best. This is like, you know, you might get something that you're gonna be like, wow, I paid $4, but this sounds maybe not horrible, but I wouldn't record with it, you know what I mean? That's to that level. And I've heard a lot of like musicians say the same thing. Like, for example, the guys from Peeling Flesh, I recently saw like a small interview they did, and they were kind of saying the same, like they're not really that good, but you can get a bunch of them for cheap. And sometimes that's what you need, especially as a touring artist. I can see that. But let's put them into like top, you know, 4, because I have 4 packs here. The top 4 packs. I'm gonna start from the bottom to the top, right? And you guys probably already know, but we're gonna start with the bottom tier for sure. The Dunlop strings, bottom of the tier. Performance is everything. You can see there, that's funny. But bottom of the tier, Dunlop strings. Second, you know what it's gonna be? It's gonna be the Ernie Ball strings. For me, I know for some people it could go either Ernie Ball or the Diodarios, but this is the second, you know, bottom to the top. This is the second worst. Not worst, but you know what I mean. Not the best. Third tier we have here is we have the XLs, the Diodaro XLs. This is gonna be definitely the runner-up, the second place. They're really good. Again, foundational strings. They last a long time. They sound great. You know, maybe generic in a sense, but hey, it's a trusted brand and they last. Honestly, I like them. I like them a lot. And the top tier obviously is gonna go to the D'Addario NYXLs. In my opinion, humble opinion, the best strings you can buy. I know Ernie Ball has a set of strings called the Paradigm or something to that effect. That's supposed to be like really good too. I had a pack of those. It was all right. It was good. It wasn't bad, but it still fell to the same thing that the original Ernie Balls do, and they get dull really fast. So these have lasted the most. They have sounded the best. I love them. I really do. So one more time from top to bottom now. First place goes to the D'Addario NYXLs. Second place goes to the nickel wound D'Addario XLs. The next one, third place, goes to the Ernie Ball strings. And the last place goes to none other than the Dunlop strings. Yeah, that's what I think about strings and what I've been using currently. What have you used? Anything new that's out there that maybe I'm not aware of? Definitely let me know. There are some like more quote unquote underground brands like SIT, for example, that I've used that are pretty good too. I don't have a pack right now, but those are cool. Let me know and take it easy. Have a great weekend. And I'll see you on the next one. Like, subscribe, comment. You know, it helps the channel out. Yeah, have a good one.